Hey, it's Frank here with 4D Honeybee, and welcome to part 2 of the honey extraction. I brought these frames home. So I pulled a total of 25 frames, 25 medium frames of honey. They should yield between 3.5 and 3.8 pounds of honey per frame. So we're talking between 80 to 90 pounds of honey. On my second extraction, I've already extracted 60 pounds. This is from 2 hives, so the total take should be between 140 and 150 pounds of honey, which is just absolutely amazing. And I wish YouTube had smell-o-vision, because if you could smell the smell of capped honey mixed with propolis, mixed with wax, and hive smell in general, it's a really pleasant smell. And my whole kitchen will smell like this now for days. And it'll be sticky, because there's no way to do it. At least I don't know how to do it without getting honey all over the place. But anyway, I'm going to show you the whole process now of decapping, spinning, and pouring the honey. And I'm also going to show you a little bit of a surprise. I'm going to infuse some honey this year. I'm going to infuse lavender, mint, and coffee into a portion of my honey to give it some flavor and just to do something different. So thanks for joining me on 4D Honeybee. So the process is pretty simple. What I use is this roller to decap. I don't think it actually really decaps. I think what it does is just punctures, right? All you do is you bring in the frames and you roll it along the frames to puncture all the cells, and then you spin it. The spinner is sitting over there. We'll take a closer look at it later, but the spinner's right there. You spin a bunch of frames. Now, I won't be able to spin all the frames because the spinner, as soon as the honey gets up to the bottom of the spinner, you've got to empty it. So you empty it from the spinner into this bucket right there that has a spigot at the bottom, and you go from there into your bottles. And what you do is you strain it in between the spinner and the white bucket there. And then you've got your pure, unpasteurized, all-natural honey. So I'll show you the process a little closer now. So this is how easy as it is. You grab your frame of honey and you bring it down and you just roll it like this. And you just need to make sure that I roll it side to side and then up and down, just to make sure I get every cell punctured. Sometimes at the edges, you know, you miss running right to the edge because it hits the frame. So just go side to side and then up and down, just like that, and just like this. And there, you've got one side ready to go. Flip it around to the other side, and then into the spinner it goes. That's the honey already dripping off of these frames into the bottom of the tub. It's just unreal. As soon as you pierce it, it just starts pouring. And this is the part that gets a little tedious. So you got to spin it. And being that this is a small manual 2-frame spinner, it takes a while. You spin it in both directions, and then you take the frames out and you flip them around, and that's how you get all the honey out of it. Honey hits the sides of the container, as you can see there already. Slides and drips down. And then you got your honey in the bottom of this container. From here it goes through a couple of sieves into the white container, into your jars. So this is what the frames look like when they're done spinning. And it's incredibly noticeably lighter just to pull them out. And you can see, I'm going to try to see how close we can get into these cells here. Maybe keep it like that. Other than like the lines that the edge of the grates leave, these cells are pretty much intact. Like, it takes the bees only a day or two to clean these up, and they're ready to use them again. That's part of why I like it. So you can see most of the caps are still there. You can actually see the capping stuff, right? You see the caps are actually just hanging there, just like that. So so it's really easy for the bees to clean this up and then reuse it. So again, other than these lines here, you know, and even that doesn't stop them from from cleaning that up and using it. So that if you're looking at, if you really want to maximize your wax production and wax rendering, then I don't recommend this method. I recommend the using the knife. But I don't do that. I do have wax to render, and wax will come out of this, but not much at all. So if you don't want to bother with it, like I don't, then your best way is to use that roller. So okay, so I've extracted the first 18 frames. I've got 7 left to go, and it's been just fantastic. The honey, the quality is stupendous. The smell is unbelievable. It's very dark, very rich, but a flavor like you've never tasted before. I didn't even like honey when I started beekeeping, and now I'm pretty hooked on it because the quality of the stuff is so amazing. So I extracted 18 frames, but the thing is my extractor is now full. I can't do any more until I empty that extractor, or at least empty enough for these next 7 frames. But the darn thing's so heavy I can't lift it. You gotta lift it up, put it on the counter, and then open up the spigot there and strain it into another bucket. But I can't do it on my own. It's gotta be, you know, 60, 70 pounds worth of honey plus the weight of the extractor. So I'm not even going to try and deadlift that 3 feet. Gotta wait till my son or my wife comes home, and then we can do that. Do part 1 of the bottling, or if not the bottling, at least, yeah, probably going to have to put some of the stuff in the spinner into this bucket, which also has a spigot. Strain it into here, so that from here you're just going into bottles with your honey. But then I've got to get my mixes ready as well, because I am going to bottle, you know, maybe 10 or 20 bottles with lavender, mint, and some cocoa. No, I guess cocoa is chocolate. I guess coffee beans to make some coffee honey. So that's how it's going so far. I'm glad you're still with me here, and yeah, more of the process to come. Remember I told you there's no way to do this honey extraction and not get honey all over your kitchen or wherever you're doing it? Well, I put this paper underneath it and stuck it up there, but it failed and dripped honey onto the seat and dripped honey onto the floor. So that's just the beginning of it. There will be honey all over this kitchen and all over your feet and all over everything until we wash it all up after it's all said and done. Part of the process, part of the fun. If you have a honey house, a honey shack, you're doing this in your kitchen probably. And that's what happens. Right, Nigel? Alright, so here's my mussels from Brussels. And we're going to try and get this thing up here. Remember, you got to get the bottom up here so we're going to be lifting way high. Okay?
So is this, the front part, going to go on it first?
Yeah. Okay, so tip. Get your hand underneath. Okay, lift. Good. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. There. Good. That was smooth. Thank you. Could have never done that by myself. Well, there's one benefit to having kids, eventually. Okay, so now it's pretty simple. Now we just open this gate. I have a double sieve here, right, which works really well. Once it gets through this, you're down to just very thin powder of wax, and it only comes out basically in your last jar or 2. So here we go. And then you go from here, from the white bucket down there, to the to your jars. Let's make sure this is good. Something doesn't seem right here, so I'm just going to shut it down for a sec. What's going on here? Unstable for some reason. Let's see. Seems alright. You just see it's a very dark golden color. You just have to control the flow of it. So that you're not going faster than it'll fall through the sieve, right? You can see how clean it is already. Just liquid gold. Look at that. So all I'll do is just bring that down, bring the level down. I'll probably fill up most of the white bucket, and then just spin the rest of my frames so I can get the frames out of the house and out of the way. I'll get them back out to the bee yard, let the bees clean it up, and then start bottling. So this is as high as I'm going to go for this first batch here. And you can see it's not much in the way of cappings that come out, right? But I mean, it's a really nice, clear, light-colored honey that doesn't take, or sorry, light-colored wax that doesn't take too much to render. Nice and clean, but I just don't like doing it. I've got plenty of wax that I do need to render eventually, maybe in the winter, but for now it's all about the honey. So now I'll bottle this stuff to make more room for the next set of frames that I need to do. How many did I say? 7 frames left to go up here. So get those done, get those in here, and then finish it all up. It's going to be about 92 pounds is what I figured. 92 pounds of honey. The 60 that I've already got brings me to 152 pounds for the year. Out of 2 hives, that's pretty good for me. Okay, so here's the last of the honey coming out, and there's nothing like a feeling of satisfaction when you do this. It's just a golden brown, dark, much darker than the spring stuff. That will be mine. And you can see it's just absolutely fantastic. The last 2 or 3 jars get a little, just a little dusting of wax in them. I quite like that. So anyway, that's it from 4D Honeybee. That's the process. It ended up being 100 and my total take this year was 155 pounds. So this take alone ended up being 95 pounds. So 95 pounds for this one, combined with the stuff I did in the spring, or in the summer I guess, in July. That was 60 pounds, so 155 pounds of honey this year off of 2 hives. That's pretty darn good. So next step, probably hive inspections, mite counts, feeding, and getting ready for winter. Thanks for joining me, 4D Honeybee. Hey, it's Frank here with 4D Honeybee, and I'm just going to try something new with this load of honey that I'm doing. My lovely wife has asked me to try infusing some flavors into the honey this time around. So this is what we're going with. I'm pretty excited about it because most of it is from my own garden. So we're going with this lavender, which is unbelievable how pungent it is. We're going with this mint, same thing, tremendous odor. And I'm going with coffee. So we're gonna put some coffee, mint, lavender into separate jars, and what we're gonna do is just put them in the jars, pour the honey in there, seal them up, let them sit for about at least, I'd say 10 days to 2 weeks, and keep turning the jars over back and forth so that the material doesn't all float to the surface. That's a good way to kind of infuse it all the way through. And then once it's done the process, if the honey tastes good, we'll sieve it all out to so that there's no particles in it, and then we'll have flavored honey. So that's a new plan for 4D Honeybee. We'll see how it goes.